War is often remembered through explosions, battles, and decisive strategies. But beneath these images lies another battlefield, one not fought with bullets, but with the merciless hand of nature. In World War II, cold was not just an environmental condition, it was a silent foe, claiming thousands of lives and testing the endurance of every soldier who faced it. From the snow-choked forests of the Ardennes to the deep frost of the Russian steppe, to the high frozen peaks of the Italian Alps, the cold shaped military decisions, influenced outcomes of battles, and pushed men to physical and emotional extremes. This documentary explores how soldiers, Allied and Axis alike, survived in these brutal environments. As the war expanded across continents, armies found themselves fighting in terrains and climates they were neither trained nor equipped for. In the early months of the conflict, many military planners underestimated the role weather would play. They assumed that modern mechanization, industrial capacity, and quick offensives would ensure rapid victories. Instead, campaigns often dragged on into the winter months, exposing troops to temperatures far beyond what their standard uniforms and equipment could handle. The German Wehrmacht, for example, entered the Soviet Union in 1941 under the assumption that the campaign would last only a few months. Soldiers marched in lightweight uniforms, many still wearing summer-weight trousers and standard wool tunics as they advanced deeper into Soviet territory. When winter struck, temperatures plunged to minus 30 degrees Celsius, and often even lower. Their equipment froze, engines cracked, and machine guns jammed. But machinery was not the only thing that froze. Soldiers, without proper boots or gloves, wrapped their feet in rags, tore apart blankets to improvise scarves, and heated stones to warm their hands for even a moment. Frostbite became as common as enemy fire. The Soviet experience was different. Russia's vast landscape and historically brutal winters had shaped the Red Army's preparation and mindset. While not all Soviet soldiers were properly equipped, many divisions, especially those raised in Siberia, were familiar with cold weather survival. They used fur-lined coats, Valenki felt boots, and quilted trousers. They understood how to insulate dugouts with straw, how to light small, smokeless fires beneath snow, and how to conserve body heat. When the winter of 1941 arrived, it was the Soviets, not the Germans, who adapted faster. But the Eastern Front was not the only place where winter waged war. In the Italian campaign, both Allied and Axis forces battled in rugged mountain terrain where temperatures fell sharply, especially at night. Snowstorms buried trenches and blocked supply paths. Soldiers climbed ice-covered slopes, carrying heavy packs and weapons. Hypothermia, trench foot, and frostbite haunted even the most experienced units. The mule became just as important as the tank, capable of navigating steep, frozen trails that vehicles could not. Further west, in December 1944, another brutal confrontation with the cold unfolded, the Battle of the Bulge. The German counteroffensive through the Ardennes forest caught American forces off guard. Snow fell heavily, fog blanketed the woods, and the temperature oscillated dangerously between freezing and thawing. Cold that seeped through under-equipped boots caused thousands of cases of trench foot. Soldiers huddled in foxholes, burning scraps of fuel-soaked rags to keep warm. Yet the cold, ironically, aided the Germans initially, grounding aircraft and giving the surprise attack a temporary advantage. In Scandinavia, soldiers faced a different kind of cold. During the Winter War between the Soviet Union and Finland, and later during German operations in Norway, armies encountered Arctic conditions, snowdrifts taller than men, temperatures falling below minus 40 degrees Celsius, and often even lower. Finnish soldiers on skis, wearing white camouflage suits, moved silently through the snow like ghosts, utilizing their intimate knowledge of the landscape. They could navigate frozen lakes and snowy forests with a confidence that Soviet troops, unused to such extreme weather, simply lacked. But in far from Europe, winter played a crucial role too. In Asia, high-altitude environments in regions such as northern China and Burma created biting cold that complicated troop movement and logistics. In the Pacific, while tropical climates dominate most historical memories, winters in the mountains of New Guinea or on the peaks of volcanic islands could be surprisingly cold, and soldiers found themselves ill-prepared for drastic temperature swings. And yet, across all these theaters, the question remained: how did soldiers survive? How did they keep warm? What techniques, improvised or official, allowed them to endure temperatures that could kill within minutes? How did food, shelter, clothing, and equipment evolve as the war progressed? And how did nations learn from deadly mistakes, transforming failures into new survival strategies? In this exploration of World War II winter survivals, we examine the global scope of cold weather warfare and the harsh realities faced by soldiers on every front. From frozen forests to wind-scoured steppes, millions of men were thrust into conditions that tested the limits of human endurance. This account uncovers the emotional stories, brutal challenges, and hard-earned knowledge that shaped the cold weather survival techniques developed throughout the war. Through their experiences, we gain a deeper understanding of how resilience, adaptation, and sheer determination became powerful weapons against the deadly cold. From makeshift winter clothing to insulated bunkers carved into frozen earth, from chemical hand warmers to the strategic use of body heat, each adaptation reveals a remarkable combination of ingenuity and resilience. For soldiers on both sides, survival often depended not on brute strength or military training, but on their ability to battle the elements. Winter was unrelenting and ruthless. It could freeze water canteens solid, turn rifles into brittle metal rods, and drain a man's strength with every breath of icy air. But in the face of such harsh conditions, soldiers found ways, small, essential ways, to keep themselves alive. Some relied on traditional knowledge, others on military-issued equipment, and many on pure improvisation. They built fires under blankets to hide the glow from enemy aircraft. They heated cans of soup on engine blocks. They slept together in crowded bunkers to preserve warmth. They learned to dry wet socks with body heat or stuff boots with straw. In many cases, these humble acts of survival made the difference between life and death. This chapter paints the broad landscape of cold weather combat, but as we move forward, each subsequent chapter will zoom in on one major theater: the Eastern Front, the Western Front, the Italian and Alpine campaigns, and the Arctic operations. Through these focused lenses, we uncover the specific challenges soldiers faced and the extraordinary measures they took to endure the winters of war. But no matter what the region, one truth remains constant. In World War II, winter was not just a season, it was an adversary. And like any formidable opponent, it tested the resilience, creativity, and spirit of all who confronted it. The chapters ahead chronicle not only these survival techniques, but also the human stories behind them, stories of suffering, perseverance, and quiet courage in the face of the cold. Stories that remind us that survival, in war, is not always about victory, but about endurance.